Good stuff. Carlos, good to speak with you again. If I can start with the big news to come out of the club in the last 24 hours, the signing of Rolando Aarons. How pleased are you to have that deal complete?
I think it's a positive moment for the club because we are signing a one young, not very young player, but still a young player, one player that he has a lot of potential, one player that can give us the versatility that we are looking to come play on the sides. We know that one of the challenges that we are going to have is that the player is in a long time without have competition minutes, and he was making some individual trainings in Newcastle from June. Of course, all of us, we know that we try to make this movement in June. I think it was a very positive movement at that time, but now we are fine to cover this gap of time where he was without playing enough minutes. That's why we need to be a little bit calm. But I think the first of all is the calm with him, and after we have to work with him, because from the conditions that he has as a player, he has some of the skills that we are looking for one winger.
Is it a feeling of relief to finally have the deal complete, given how long it's taken for him to arrive at the football club?
Being honest, I think it's a positive moment for the club. For me, it was a positive moment in summer. If we did now, it's a positive moment now. But what we need to do now is to work a lot with the player, to work a lot with him, trying to make the moment that be a real positive moment. So it's not, I cannot tell you that I was in my mind that we need to sign him. It's not like, I think it was a good opportunity for the club, it was a good opportunity for the player, it was a good opportunity for all the parts that we did the movement right now.
As a player, what can he bring to you as a side?
I think he's a player that has a skill to can and balance. He has a good 1-versus-1. And for me, is the one of the strengths that as a player he has. What I was watching in all the videos that I was watching, he's a player with a lot of energy. I think he's a player that if he arrives from the bench, is a player that can make an impact in the game because you can feel his level of energy in any minute of the game. But at the same time, he's a player that needs to improve in some aspect, trying to can make real the impact and to can show the skills that he has, to show these skills in the real challenging game.
He's a player that can play across the front three. How will you look to use him best?
I think what I was watching, the best performance that I watched in him was playing as a left winger in Sheffield Wednesday. For me, was the more clear position that he can impact in the game. He was playing after when he was in loan, in the last loan that he had in Scotland. He was playing more as a right winger. But I think it's a player that from the left point of view, he can offer more things to the team than from the right point of view.
You mentioned how long it has been between his last professional appearance in a side. His progression at Newcastle United hasn't been the easiest with the amount of loans he's been on as well. Do you think he's a player that arrives at Huddersfield Town with a point to prove?
Everyone who arrives without half the best previous experience always have for me the desire trying to prove himself, trying to show that he has the level to be in the championship, and this is something necessary. I think if he doesn't have this desire and this feeling, he wouldn't move right now because he had to break or finish the contract with Newcastle because he continued having contract until that point. But he was showing. For us, Lee Bromby was the one who had the conversation with the player that he was showing a high level of ambition. That's why one of the needs that for me we need to have before any player can arrive here to Huddersfield.
Will he be involved tomorrow or is it too soon?
In one side it's too soon, but in another side it's necessary to start to involve him in the game because as soon as we adapt him, his level or his skills to the team, and as soon as he start to have some minutes of the competition, the faster he do this process, the better for him and for the team too. But at the end, he's not going to start tomorrow in the game, but he will be available to play some minutes.
How will you look to approach the game more generally, Carlos? Will you make a number of changes from your last starting 11?
I think we have to do this. It's like something necessary that I have to do as a coach. Of course, for us, I respect a lot this competition. For me, it's an important competition. It's part of the English football tradition when everyone is playing the same competition, League 2 clubs, League 1 clubs, Premier League clubs, Championship clubs. So it's a really, really nice competition that put everyone in the same level. It's something very nice, but at the same time, I need to be very conscious of the squad that we have right now, or the problem that we are facing now in two terms. the point that we are facing in terms of the number of minutes that a lot of our players are playing, at the same time in terms of the injury that we are having right now. So I need to make a balance of these two things, and that's why tomorrow we are going to play with one team that is going to be totally different of the team that is playing the league games. But not because we don't want this competition, not because we don't want to continue in the cup. It's just because it's the need that we are having right now.
So 11 changes on that front. How big an opportunity is it for then those players coming into the side to stake a claim?
Of course, it's a big opportunity, especially for the players that are having now. They are part of the team, part of the squad, and they are being in the bench. Tomorrow are going to play with some players that they were in some games with the team. They were in the first 11, like for example, could be Demico, could be Aaron Rowe, could be Brown. At the same time, we are going to have some minutes or are going to be in the first 11 some players that they had some minutes in some league game. For example, like Phillips in the last game, he played the last minutes of the game. He's going to be tomorrow, if everything goes well this afternoon in the training. He's going to be in the first 11 to the team. So tomorrow is going to be, like you say, one big opportunity for them to challenge, to test the level. It's a big opportunity for me for the step of this club, because it's going to make a project. We need to see what is the real level in a real competition, because never is the same to play one friendly game than to play an official game. And playing versus one team that is in League One is making a very good season in League One. So it's going to be a challenge and a project for me as a team. It's going to be a game for the player of this club.
Will we see Danny Grant involved in the starting 11?
I don't think that he will be in the first 11 neither, because I think Pat Jones, who is playing in his position, is one young player that we think that is more adapted, more ready to start in the game, and depending on how is the last training, because everything can happen today in the training. But the idea is to play with Pat Jones in the first 11, not with Grant.
Just on sticking with Danny Grant, obviously he's been with the club for a short time now. What have you made of him settling into the environment? I
think the first weeks or the first days of Danny Grant, we were preparing from the conditional point of view, from the physical point of view, to can training again, because he was during a period of time in the holidays of the club that where he was playing before he arrived here. He was spending the Christmas time, the Christmas days in his country, and now after he arrived here, he was working this week with the group. So it's a similar process of Rolando Aarons, but it's different process of Rolando Aarons because he was having minutes in his club before arriving here, so he has more the habit to play these minutes in a real competition games.
Just on the injuries front, are you any closer to welcoming any players back? And do we have a full extent of the injury to Danny Ward?
No, unfortunately, we continue waiting for Danny Ward to the recovery. We are making some delay in the first idea or the first dates that the medical staff gave me. And now at the moment, he continue progressing with the medical staff. And I don't expect that he come back to the training with the group until the middle of the next week.
One other player I wanted to ask you about, Carlos, for me, Adama Diakhaby. What's his situation at the moment?
His situation is that he continue having the injury in the Achilles. He has the injury there. That's why he is missing some of the last games of the league games. He continue working with the medical staff, and we don't expect to have him involved with the group until the next week.
Injury aside with Adama Diakhaby, with the additions of Rolando Aarons and Danny Grant, who can play in similar positions, what is his future at the football club? Does he still have a part to play in your plans, Carlos?
I think I want to be working like we are doing with any player until the player is here in the club. So I cannot tell you what is going to happen with any player in the club. What I want to be focused is to be working with them from the first day that they arrive here until the last day that they stay here, trying to get the best that we can get from the players.
In terms of January more widely, do you expect any more players to arrive at the football club?
Like always I say, we need to analyze all the options that is happening. We need to analyze what is the squad in each moment. We need to analyze what is happening with the player that we have, trying to make the strength team that we have to make, because we know that the championship we have played only half of the year in championship, and we know how tough this competition is. We know how tough is especially this year, this competition. and we need to try to face this competition in the best way that we can face. And if man makes some movements, we will do. If we analyze the situation, we don't expect that we need any player more, so it will be the decision.
Do you think the demands of this season justifies more players to arrive at the football club? Do you think the need is there?
I think, like I say, to the normal injuries, we had the COVID situation. Fortunately, nowadays we are in a positive moment in terms of the COVID situation. Only Isaac and Benza is in isolation process, but he was negative in the test, so the situation with him is really positive. But he was not working with the team during this week because we are very conscious about how important it is to follow the protocol of everything. That's why I think right now we don't have any positive case in relation with the first team, and this is something very positive for our club, something very positive for our players. That's why we, knowing that Benza is a negative COVID player, we continue following in all the details any protocol, because for me it's an important consideration that we have to have this year.
As head coach of the players, does that make you feel at all proud that they're following the safety protocols that are in place and that you are coming back with 0 positive cases?
I cannot feel, I think with the COVID you never can feel proud, because everything can change very fast, and in a moment maybe you have one positive situation, one positive test, maybe this can increase very, very, very fast. That's why we need to continue fighting. We need to know that every measure that we have is the minimum. We need to be very conscious to try to increase the measures that we are having in terms of trying to reduce any type of possibility to have contact with the people. As soon as we are watching that our players have contact with someone that was positive or had the symptoms, we are making the measures like I told you with Isaac. That's why I think we need to continue being with this alert, trying to be very conscious of how important it is to reduce any type of possibility to have any positive COVID in the team.
Just on Isaac's isolation, how long will that period be?
He will come back in the next week to train with the group.
Thank you. And yeah, that's all from me. Thanks very much, Carlos.
Thanks, Jamie. Stephen, we'll throw to you, please, mate.
Hi, Carlos. Obviously, you're going to be rotating the team, as you've said. Are there any other new injuries this week at all?
We, more than injuries, we are taking care of some players, because we know that some of the players, just because the number of the minutes that they were playing, in 5 or 6 cases of the last first 11, we decided from the medical point of view to prepare this week with the medical staff. No, I am not telling you that we give days off. Is that the recommendation from the medical staff was that 5 or 6 players that they start in the previous game, they have to be with the medical staff, because if no, we cannot guarantee the normal option of them to recover with the team.
Yeah, it's been a particularly tough season, hasn't it, that first half of the year. Thankfully, now we're into a period where there's going to be longer periods between games. Is that good news for you?
I think always to have the option to prepare more the games is positive. At the same time, to have a little bit more recovery between the games, for me, increasing the quality in the football, I am telling you, in general football, because when you have a little bit more of time to prepare the games, and more time to can rest better and after to prepare better, I think the quality of the football, the quality of the pitches, the quality of everything can increase.
And there's been reports today that you're looking at a new contract for Jonathan Hogg. Is there anything you can tell us about that, please?
Yes, I think the club started some weeks ago this conversation with the players. We know that Hogg for me is one of the players that represent better the values of this club that we want to have in terms of the present and in terms of the future too.
So there's other players as well who you're talking to ahead of the summer?
I think it's important to analyze the situation of each player. Some of our players are contracts. Then I think always we analyze with Lee Bromby what is the situation with the chairman too. But nowadays I know that the club started the conversation with Hogg about his last option in the contract, and I think another players are going to, or we have started this conversation, or will start very fast the conversation too.
Could those negotiations, or players who you might decide not to enter into new deals with, could that have an impact on what you do in the January transfer window?
I don't think the situation with the players that are going to finish the contract is going to change. I think it can affect to this market if we are thinking that the player can leave in this moment. I think in terms of our squad, we need to analyze if we are going to make some movements right now, trying to replace the player that we can lose during this market. So we need to be more focused nowadays in this specific market to see which moment can happen nowadays in terms of interested player or in terms of any another club that won any of our players. We need to be open on this. And for me, any replacement is going to be, of course, the priority is in the moment that we lose some of our players, we need to replace him. It's something that is going to be one of the needs.
And the game is obviously an opportunity to progress into the next round of the cup. Hope for a big money game. Is that something that's on your mind, or is this more just about the players putting in a performance to prove themselves?
I think always as a coach, we always want to continue all the competitions. It's something that is natural because it's our targets and it is what we want. But at the same time, I think I have two clear targets. I need to reduce any option of injury. Like I told you, for example, today in the training, in this we are working some double training. So we divide maybe the work in two parts, in the morning or more in the afternoon, to see what is the more players available for the next game are training more in the afternoon. The players that we think that are not available to train in the next game are training now in the mornings. So we need to analyze well which player we can take any type of risk. So like I told you, for example, Hawk is not making a normal training with the group this week. So it will be a bad decision from me to put players that will increase the risk of injury. Or for example, Emon Green is being one of the central back that is playing a role without having discipline before. In the moment that I put him to play, I am increasing the risk of any type of injury. So we need to go trying to solve one of the targets that we have is to increase the number of players in our squad, because we know that it's going to be impossible to face one championship, even playing less number of games in a row, to have only 10 players, without talking about the keepers. You have to have 10 players and repeat the first 11 and repeat the first 11 don't make change. At the end, it's like there is one point that you need to have alternative from the bench. You need to have alternatives even sometimes in the first 11 too. So it's going to be important in this game to trying to make this squad grow with the play that we are having right now. Then that's why I told you that player like Demico is going to play, player like Brown are going to play, player like Vallejo is going to play, player like Romani Crislow is going to play, player like Phillips is going to play, or player like, for example, Pat Dion is going to play. So because we need to know, at the same time, not only the level, we need to give the experience to these players, trying to turn themselves, trying to challenge them in a real situation, because this is the players that are coming in the bench and the players that are involved in all the first 10 games.
That's it, thank you. And just, I think, last one, we talked a bit about players, positions you wanted to recruit for. You said last time with the injuries on the wing and at central defence that those might be priorities. Are you still looking for defenders?
We need to be analysing all the situation. Of course, we know that we lost Stillman and Schindler, and in the previous game it was an important situation because lost two of the four central backs, something that is going to affect to every club. Fortunately, with Sarri and with Emon Green, we could be playing all the minutes after the injury of both players. And in the last game, even we use Hawk in this position because we know that he can help the team, but at the same time, we know how important Hawk is in the middle of the pitch on this team. So I think always is continue important to be analyzing every situation. If we need some defender, or we need some midfielder, or we need more now, the winger, for me, the position of the winger is close because we have had, like we were talking, two players now in the last days. So we are going to continue analyzing all the situation because for me, to try to strengthen the team is going to be one of the challenges that we need to have in our minds too.
Great stuff. Thanks. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. Ben, we'll pass over to you, please, mate.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Ben, thank you. Alfie, you okay?
Yeah, that's fine for me. Thanks.
Finally, Nathan, you okay as well?
No, nothing. Thank you.
Thanks all. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Bye.